Hi, everybody. So today I'm coming to you with really kind of more of an update of the situation. It's been a while since I've been on here because a lot's been going on and none of it's good. I'm smiling now because sometimes you just gotta laugh. It's not been very good. So what I wanted to do is kind of give, for those of us who know me, a lot of the people who watch this know my family, at least at some level or another, or can at least sympathize because most people have fathers and can understand. My dad's been really sick for a while, at death's door for quite a bit. Kind of unexpected. He had an ongoing condition and went to the hospital for it. And then some things happen, and needless to say, put him in a condition that really rendered him nearly comatose. And so we have been trying to deal with that at home because there was really nothing they could do for him in the hospital, so they sent him home. And I'm really glad we have a nurse in the family. Because if we didn't, we'd be in serious trouble. So, but anyhow, not really looking for sympathy. Like I said, I'm sorry. I really hate to complain. That's why I'm sorry. I'm smiling because this is uncomfortable for me to do. Because most of the time people just don't care. God, that's awful. They want to, and they want to empathize, but there's just so much bad stuff going on. I almost feel bad adding fuel to the fire, but people want to know because this is a personal thing. For people who don't know me, this will just be one in a many of a plethora of terrible things you'll hear here in the near future. But for friends and family, just as a kind of a general update. Things are looking better. The hospice has come in. They made some major changes to what he was taking because, anyway, what they were giving him was awful. As we had been questioning for quite some time, to no avail, unfortunately. So, but now, as of this week, the week of the kind of big shutdown of everything, he's doing pretty good. Talked to him yesterday. I took the kids over, and we got to sit and have full-blown conversation, just hang out with Dad. So it was pretty cool. All the brothers there, and obviously with plenty to talk about. So, which is why I'm here. So I'm like, okay, things are going good. Doing stuff like this takes a little bit of focus, concentration, which I barely have anyway. But with all things that were going on in the family, I just couldn't, it was just too much. It was just too heavy. So, and talking about anything always takes you to that. So, but anyway, so what I wanted to do is, I don't want to freak anybody out, but I just kind of want to throw my 2 cents in on what we have going on with the coronavirus. I'm obviously not going to try to tell you, don't do what the government says. I think that's obviously, if you don't want to get sick, that's what you do. Matter of fact, and I believe it's agoraphobia. The primary reasoning for not leaving your house is because you don't want to get sick, and it works. Ta-da! For most things, some stuff you pick up anyway, but oddly enough. So, but I work in the grocery industry. And I actually decided this week not to go back to work. And of course, they totally understood because my dad is sick. My brother has autoimmune disorder. And being around them would actually be life-threatening because they're really in the high-risk category. So, but what I wanted to say to the people that are out there, and again, I'm saying this is from really first-hand experience. People really kind of, I don't want this to sound mean. I understand the reasoning behind the shopping patterns that came about. But I have to. I'm sorry. What are you going to do with all that toilet paper? I just don't understand it. I normally, anytime I buy toilet paper, I'm normally buying like, a 12 pack, a 24 pack. Most people don't buy 4 packs, and the idea that there would be a shortage of something that is 100% manufactured inside the United States at a few locations. I don't know. I just don't get it. Of all things to pick, why not disinfectants? It's like I said, I work in a grocery store, and so I was walking past shelves that had been, after a couple of days, had finally been, the supply had caught up with the demand, which is the problem across the board. Masks and all that, it's supply and demand. You can't just poof those things into existence. There has to be the raw materials there. There has to be the time it takes to make these things and to get them distributed. Just because you want them doesn't mean you get them. Manufacturing is only set up to meet the need. They don't really stockpile things anymore because warehousing costs money. So let me tell you, just a little FYI, just something I know that you may not. Back in the early 90s, manufacturing kind of took honestly, it was kind of a Japanese turn. Instead of warehousing a huge backlog of parts for manufacturing, which took warehouses, what they would do is when they built new facilities is they started doing something, and it's been given many names, but when I was working for Saturn, it was called just-in-time delivery. And what they would do is, for instance, the car seats. The car seats were made in a town, a couple towns over. And so the seats, when they opened up the last skid of seats that were going on the cars, what they would do is your next one was at the dock being unloaded. And the idea was you don't have it on hand until you need it. And so there's no warehousing or anything like that. And so when there's a run on it, which is what this has been, is a run, when there's a run on products, it's very difficult for manufacturing to catch up. Now, most companies don't run at full capacity all the time, but if you're, because of the, let me hit this real quick. Because of the slimming down and downsizing of modern manufacturing, a lot of plants don't have the ability or flexibility to really change gears or ramp up production. It takes a lot of time to do that because there's very little downtime, because they're trying to run as lean and efficiently as possible, and which means there's no room for reserve. So, I know it's easy to blame politicians. And this normally happens, and sometimes it is a problem. Now, like one of the things we're dealing with a mask is whether the mask were usable in a medical condition, in a medical use. Sorry. I should have started with the coffee. Anyway, but, and I was surprised they actually got that knocked out pretty good because obviously, both sides want this thing taken care of and gone. So it's really good to see both sides are working together. I was really proud as a libertarian, and I want to say that before I say this. As a libertarian, I was really not proud. I guess it's wrong. Well, I was proud from a national standpoint. I was proud to hear that they were going to be blocking the use of any kind of stimulus money for the furtherment of the bottom line of the companies. Strictly just to be used for the retention of the employees, which is what it should be used for. Because obviously, the governments really shouldn't be in the business of bolstering, your bottom line. Your best asset is your employees anyway, so I would really hang on to them. If you haven't looked, the unemployment is really low. You know, there's not a big pool to draw from these days. You better hang on to what you got. Sorry. But in the midst of all this, honestly, I've been, I catch the news like anybody else, and it was been a topic of conversation in the grocery aisle more than once for quite a while, because honestly, when there's that many people in one place, you're going to hear all kinds of stuff, and you overhear conversations and all that. But what actually worried me was a conversation I heard really about 3 weeks ago, and it was from a gentleman who was obviously in the military. He was in full fatigues. He was addressed as such by many of the people that worked there, and they obviously knew him by name, and that he knew them as well. And he had said that they just bluntly asked him what was the possibility, and the first word that popped out of his mouth was quarantine. And he said that's a distinct possibility, and he said he said it's a consideration on the table now. Now that was 3 weeks ago. So I started getting a little worried because honestly, at that point, I wasn't worried at all, because again, working around the industry, everybody was worried about food supply. That's always a big concern, is can we get food? And I'm like, yeah, there's a freaking ton of it. I just walked by like 15 skids of it. Well, little did I know that in the matter of just a few days, that they could empty that crap out in no time flat. And that's exactly what happened. And so what I did find out, which I thought was very interesting, was the things that there was still plenty of. All right. And so I thought this was pretty funny. The one thing that I noticed, which I thought was really weird, that all of the Hispanic foods were almost there completely. Tortilla shells, any of the mixes, any of the chilies, any of that stuff. I mean, honestly, it looked like just a regular Monday. But then and the Asian food, which again shocked me. I mean, talk about simple to fix. I thought that would be one of the first things that people picked up, but they really didn't go for it. A lot of the items in the baking aisle, people, I think what they did was they picked up the staples, but then they left like everything else. So, my thought was, if you don't have any of this at home now, you probably don't have any seasonings or anything else, or baking soda, baking powder, anything else that you might need to make this. But all that stuff was there, without problem. We're plenty with backstock. So, I just thought it was kind of funny. It just seemed like an incomplete grocery list. It's like, so you got this, so now what are you going to do with it? And something that I really thought was, as a person who doesn't eat it, I thought it was kind of odd that the store that I was working in during this over this last week or so, there was always pork available. So I don't know if it was just their supply of it was so high, or people weren't buying it. But I would honestly have to think it would have to be that their supply was so high. So then, of course, my question was, crap, man, how long have you guys been sitting on that stuff? So, but anyway, it's frozen. I'm playing. Not to worry. Trust me, that food turns fast. There's not enough room to store it, so it has to turn fast. But I know there's a lot of people freaking out. And honestly, the situation I'm in, because I was fully planning on going back to work, and because I feel like that in a time where people are going to be, cooped up, and I know it's going to be really busy in that industry, I really feel bad for not being there and helping, because they need the help. There's a lot of chains doing a lot of hiring right now, because there might be stuff in the store, but they can't get it out because there's not enough bodies to get it out. And so, but I just, sorry for me personally, I just couldn't risk my family. I know from what I've been seeing, the actual, you can agree or disagree, this is just what I found, the range of mortality from this illness is between 0.5% and 1%. In Ohio, it's at 1% right now. So, you know, I'm not a gambler. I don't really like those odds. When I do know that if you factor in age, that the numbers for the people in my family who are in harm's way, that number goes way the flip up. So I just couldn't risk it anymore. So for those of you who have to, my hats are off to you. Because like I said, it really was a hard decision. You know, not only financially, because it's going to make things just a stranglehold, but you know, it's kind of necessary. You know, I'm sorry, but I know this is going to. I don't want this to. I'm not trying to glamorize what's going on, but when you walk in to a place where you get all of your food and you see bare shelves, I mean, I saw panic. I mean, like worry, genuine worry. And then, but to be able to, you know, alleviate some of that by a lot of times really just, you know, because they picked over it like scavengers, you know, just make it look pretty, you know, just straightening it up, brings a little normality. And, you know, I like that. You know, I'm sorry if you know me as a person. You know, I like to make people feel good. I like to make people happy. I like to make them feel comfortable. And anytime I can do that, I do that. I don't know why I do that. I probably think my upbringing, or the fact that in most of my life, my ability to do that has gotten me paid. I don't know. Might have something to do with it. I don't know. So. But I don't know. I just wanted to throw this out there. One, because I really haven't done anything in a while, and I felt like, you know, I really wanted to kind of reassure people in something. And this is what I want to kind of, you know, this is going to be a change in, I think, kind of social interaction in general. The one thing I think this is going to do, now that, you know, I'm looking for the silver lining, because if you know me, that's pretty much what I'm always trying to do. What's the plus? You know, what's the upside to this? There's got to be something come from this that is at least somewhat redeemable, you know, because the fear alone, the loss of life is tragic in any form, and there's people that die of various forms of flu in much higher numbers, obviously, because it's affecting more people. But we lose people every day, and that's always a tragedy. I lost my mom last summer, and like I said, I almost lost Dad over the last couple of weeks. We thought we were going to lose him probably 30 times. I'm not even exaggerating. So it's been a bad while. But now with this, it is the one thing it's doing with this kind of forced isolation, which some people are viewing it. But yeah, it is that. But it's forcing you to be around your family. So now, I know not everybody's family gets along with each other, but it's making us go back, think back. Okay, so I'm sorry, but I know I'm old-fashioned. I know if you've watched any of my videos, I'm kind of old-fashioned, you know. I am not kind of, I am, you know. I drive like a grandpa. I'm not a prude or a stick in the mud. I kind of try to look at things more of the big picture, the overall effect of what's happening. I know this is what's happening at this level, but this is, you know, these are ripples in a pond. And so we need to see how this affects everything else as this, you know, transpires. But the one plus from this is that, I mean, families are really fractured, and we're afraid, and we don't know what's coming down the pike. And for most of us, our safety and security really is rooted in our family, or what is not necessarily our flesh and blood family, but the people we call our family. And we find our security in that. And in a time where this is out of our control. I mean, you know, I'm sorry. I spent a lot of time when I was younger. I don't do it anymore. Just morbid curiosity. A lot of time studying things like serial killers and mass plagues and you know, genocidal warfares and stuff like that. don't ask why. I don't know. It's more. I just consider it more of a curiosity, because it's one of those. If you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it. And I'm like, why would this happen? And why would people do these things? And so when you have what we have now, which is a pandemic that's coming pretty much out of nowhere, if I encourage all of you to spend a little bit of time looking more into the history of the virus and not necessarily what's going on right now. This is not a new virus. It's just a variant of an old virus, hence the 19. So I'm not trying to say that there's nothing to be afraid of, because anytime you're dealing with any kind of plague, I don't want to call it a plague because I don't think this is biblical origin. I think this is, I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be conspiracy theorist, but this is like, it has all the earmarks of man-made or man-modified. Its shelf life is too long. It lives too long out and about. And so, and obviously its ability to transfer, while still in the incubation stage, that has been pretty well mapped out throughout China. So, I don't know. Things, once something, you have anything, I just want to, again, I'm just riffing. Whenever you have something that's alive, it wants to stay alive. And it does whatever it has to do to stay alive. And that's adaptation. And so everything that exists on this planet, no matter how it got here, that's what it does. And it adapts and it survives. So my concern at this point, it really has not been for the flu strain itself. Granted, it is damaging, but it again seems to be fairly focused to the group that it's the most impactful to. But what's it going to be next? So that's why I wanted to really put this video out there. I'm really not trying to spread any kind of fear or anything, but I'm not suggesting. I think some people are viewing maybe the lengths that have been taken to stop the spread of this as excessive, but I would challenge you to look throughout history and what happens when people are around a strain of a virus that mutates in densely populated areas. I'm sorry, just don't have to look far. It's not good. It's not good. And plus you have to consider that, especially in toxic environments, is the likelihood of the corruption of the DNA of a virus, especially when they're chasing it down. I mean, that's one of the drawbacks, and this is what I've learned. One of the drawbacks about looking for vaccines and immunizations and things like that is that you have to figure out how to kill it. And so you have to figure out how to kill it and not anything else that's around it. And so normally what they will try to do, not normally, that was wrong. One of the ways that they can go about doing that is by finding something that corrupts its DNA. And so what it basically makes it do is it makes it incapable of burning sugars, or it makes it incapable of expelling waste or something like that, or potluck, who cares what it does as long as it doesn't live, not able to reproduce, sterilizing. Because that's actually done in a lot of other areas as well. If you can't kill it, you just sterilize it so it can't reproduce, and then once that generation passes, then you're done. So, unfortunately, it doesn't always kill them. And so, and not that I don't think anyone would do this necessarily on purpose, but then you run the risk of an accidental release of a new version, because unfortunately, in the process of trying to kill it, you corrupted its DNA and, you gave it wings. I'm just kidding. It's you know what I mean? It survived and is still able to thrive and reproduce. And so then you've got a whole new problem to deal with. They're doing the best they can. We don't know everything. And I think, unfortunately, there is this kind of prevailing thought or with most people, that science has all the answers. And I think you're actually hearing from a lot of these people, no, they don't, and they know they don't, and they're looking for help and they're reaching out. And I think it's a good sign that you see the established medical community, these schools of higher thought and all that stuff that are reaching out to the average person looking for help because they don't know either. And so I think it's, for me, I see it as kind of like, it is, I hate to use this as an example, but like 9/11. It's a tragedy that brings the country together. There's always going to be fighting. There's always going to be disagreements. You're always not going to like, there's people who's not going to like the president. Plenty of people don't like Trump. Plenty of people didn't like Obama. That didn't change the fact that we all still have to live together. We all still have to work together. And so, it's just been, I hate to say this, but it's kind of refreshing. Because in the midst of being in the grocery, in a grocery store every day with, oh my gosh, the number of people, it was Thanksgiving. I'm not kidding. I know from many locations, the slowest days sales for the weekend were the same as the average sales for the entire weekend. So what you're looking at is the sales for Sunday were actually what would normally be the sales for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday combined. And so that's a lot of money. So, hopefully all you guys who felt the need to make sure that you had more than enough and didn't give two craps if anybody else had any, I hope your stuff rots. Sorry. That wasn't Jesus, was it? No, it wasn't. I'm sorry, that's just like utterly selfish and unredeemable in my thought. I don't understand why you think that your family's needs exceed the needs of other people to the point that you take a product that only serves one purpose, and stock your garage with it. Did you think they were going to stop making? I'm sorry, but if your garage got a leak and it all got wet, I would probably laugh. It's not good citizenry to do something like that. To me, it's no different. Ding, ding, ding. To me, there's no difference in that than a company price gouging for fuel or for other products in the time of need. There's no different. You're the same person. And I don't think it's funny or cute. I've actually heard people bragging about how much they stocked up on and how much they took. Grocery carts full. To what extent? Did you think you were going to sell it and make a bunch of money? Which is what most of the people who did that are doing. Most of them are not preppers, because guess what? Preppers were already ready. They already had all that crap. When all this stuff came out, none of them did anything but go, wow, that sucks. And that was it. I watched a bunch of them on YouTube. They didn't, not affected. So, yeah, I'm sorry. This is going to be mean. So this is why I'm laughing, because this is going to be mean. There's a passage in the Bible where Paul is talking about a gentleman who had done him wrong. And so Paul's response, rather than saying, bring, God, pour hellfire and brimstone on him, Paul's prayer for the man was that God would reward him according to his works. And so my prayer for those of you who felt the need to, not based on need in any way, shape, or form, because I can guarantee that the majority of you that did that already have a house freaking full of food. Poor people don't do stuff like that. We can't afford it. It's not a possibility, you know. But so you're literally taking from people who every week they don't run out of back stock, they run out of stock, and there's just literally no concern for that. And so, sorry, like I said, it honestly didn't affect me because that's my normal buying pattern. Is I usually buy when it's on sale, and so that means I'll have piles of stuff laying around. But you should have known coming down the pike that something might be coming, because there's a bunch of people over in China that was dying from this, and it was spreading like wildfire. But then one weekend, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with it because it shows very poorly on America as a country that this is how we react in time of crisis, especially after how we acted after 9/11. When people actually died, when Americans actually died. Americans didn't die during any of this. At this point, I believe there was one person in the country that had passed, which was unfortunate, but not justifiable for this kind of reaction, and this is what we do. So shame on us. Shame on us for doing it. And I think pretty much the media has responded, all the hate that's been thrown away towards people who have done that. I think you deserve it, and I really don't see how you're trying to justify it. Simply because of the fact that we all have to live together. And what we're supposed to do is, in time of need, is go to those around us who might have, and then we help each other out. See, that's the whole thing. And now with this forced isolation, we kind of don't have any other option, because you have to talk to your neighbors if you want to talk to anybody that's not your family, because that's the only people you're going to be able to talk to. So I'm sure the internet will be clogged. I mean, I'm sure the bandwidth will be zero over this time, because most people, what else are they going to do? They don't know how to do anything else, but we live on our phone. For a lot of people, it's 4 hours a day. So that's a real stat. I didn't make that one up. Not uncommon to be 4 hours a day. And then 2 to 3 hours a day watching TV, because it overlaps. They'll be on their phone while their TV is on as well. So, but I don't know, maybe we'll learn to talk to each other again, when we can't get anything to download, when YouTube locks up, people won't be sitting around watching stupid videos like this that idiots like me put out for no reason whatsoever. But I do want to encourage people that one thing that we do, I mean this sincerely, is one thing that we need to be aware of is when we live afraid, when we allow fear of an impending event to overcome us and to take over our minds, we make ourselves physically more susceptible to illness. If you are always afraid that you're going to get sick, you are almost guaranteeing that you're going to get sick, because you are actually reducing your immune system's ability to fight infection and illness because of your stress level. That is not a good state for the human body to be in. The human body is not intended to function properly in a stressed state. Your systems are supposed to be at this little homeostasis, this balanced level, and so everything works right. And when you stress out, your crap don't work right. Okay, you're going to have all kinds of problems. And the worst thing of all about being stressed is you can't think right. And so the problem is it's easy for people to be duped one way or the other into thinking something is either not a problem or something is a massive problem. It's easy to be duped into believing something because you're in such a heightened state that you're just looking for an answer. You need that. It's the fight or flight. You need some kind of safety and security. I need some kind of an answer. And who's got the one that that I'm hearing right now? Because unfortunately, a lot of times it's the first story you hear is the one that you cling to, whether it's the most accurate story or not. But because we're panicked and we don't know what to do. My suggestion is to do what we really probably all should have always been doing, which is, just the basic stuff. Stuff we did when we were little kids, wash your hands, don't make out with strangers. Sorry. That's probably not a good idea for more than just that reason. But the suggestions that they're giving us are really pretty easy. And honestly, if we only have to do this for a while, is it really that bad? If you are reducing the risk of a person who it will literally end their life. I know there is a thing, we all have our rights, and everybody wants to hound, rights, and I am not for giving up any of our rights. I know that's a thing that I've been seeing go around, a possibility that may be used. Some of the things that they're trying to enact now might be used later as a way to reduce our rights. I'm a libertarian, and I can guarantee you that I'm not going to be for any of that horse crap. All right, that's not necessary. This is a singular event and needs to be dealt that way. And then when things are done, we're going to go back to the idiocy and stupidity that we've been accepting for all these years that go on in politics right now. So once we get through our hump and we get back to what will effectively be our new normal, I hope that we, like from 9/11, it was really kind of sad. I'm sorry, after 9/11 there was this huge feeling of community. We were all together and everybody was loving each other, and maybe it was just me, but by the time of the first anniversary, it was waning. I'm not saying it was gone, but it was waning. And then it just kind of went back to, F you and me, my four, and no more, and let's see how much I can get, and gimme. Which is what I think it is right now. I mean, honestly, all the stuff, I'm sorry, but the reason that there is no storehouses for this crap is because of profit. They wanted to make more money, and they didn't want to have any backstock because nothing wrong ever happens. Did you know that? And the mentality, sorry, I'm really aggravated. I'm really trying to keep myself leveled out. We've had a lot of stuff go on that's been super negative, and I'm trying not to bleed that out because I'm trying to be positive. Anyway, but because of the justification of profit at any cost, we don't have backstock of crap. Because of justification for any cost, do you know there's a high percentage of our vaccines that come from China? The country we can't get anything from? For the love, we've had so much to deal with. Anyway, the cost. I come from a family of business owners, and I understand the cost of doing business. So I am not a novice. I'm not talking out my butt when I talk about profitability, reasonable margin. I know what I'm talking about. I've sat down, done P&L statements and ROIs. I know. I'm familiar with this. So when I tell you what has been done, this is really more with Dad and with Mom, and now with what's coming on with this virus. The mindset in which has been applauded is, if it's your health, it's worth it. It should be worth it to you to have to spend X amount of dollars to save your life. It should be worth it to you to have to give up everything that you have to keep yourself alive. And when I see this coronavirus, and then they're talking vaccine and all that stuff, my thought is, okay, so metaphorically, here's again, we're going to tell you what you have to have if you want to stay alive, and you have to get it from us, and nobody else can give it to you, and we'll charge you whatever the F we want to, and you'll like it, or when you die, we'll take everything you have. And that's medical care in the United States. And I'm living it. And so I don't want to hear save the comments that say that's not how it is. I'm living it. So I can show you the numbers. And this is a prime indication that it doesn't work, because The medical community was not prepared for this at all. Manufacturing wasn't prepared for it because, again, we can't have warehouses anymore. Medical community wasn't prepared for it because that's not what they do. They treat current diseases. So they're not about prevention at all, and they'll tell you that. Now they bring it on like, some hippie side job that they've got going on. They come over here, and but then the building where everything else goes on is 20 stories tall and occupies 5 city blocks. Sorry, not trying to be negative. The people who work in the industry are doing absolutely the best they can. The people who are doing the job, without question, hats off. I couldn't do it. It takes a lot to do that and to do it successfully. And so my hat's off to you. The monolithic beast that is the healthcare system in the United States, you suck. You're awful. You're awful. The answers we have been given for basic things, basic necessities, are mind-numbing. My brother has a son who has a missing chromosome and has a plethora of issues, and they just expect him to magically, I'll tell you, how about this? How about having home health care come over to take care of your 1-year-old child and them not be trained on the medical procedures required to care for the child? His trach. And none of the people who come over to care for the child have been trained on taking care of a trach. So it's become my brother and my sister-in-law's job to train these healthcare workers how to take care of a trach because they won't pay them. They won't pay to teach them. So now it's my brother's job to make sure he trains her correctly so he or she doesn't kill, his son. I'm not making any of this up. It's if you watch any of my videos, I've gained probably 25 pounds. I've been stressed out of my mind. And unfortunately, since I usually, I have been acquiring some extra food, I've been eating most of it. Oh God, it's awful. Stress eat, it freaking kills me. It makes my back hurt. I have an extra vertebrae in my back, and anything digestive goes crazy. It makes my back go out. It's awesome. Super cool. Anyhow, this is super long, but I'm sorry. I've had a lot to say. And, I just kind of wanted to reach out and, it is crazy. And there's a lot of stuff going on and a lot of stuff that we can be afraid of. But I want to encourage you that one thing that it's very easy to say, very difficult to do. A lot of things in life that are vital to our survival are easy to say, hard to do. But when it comes to dealing with this kind of uncontrollable, totally out of our hands situation, the best thing we can do is keep our wits about us. Don't buy into the paranoia. Don't buy into the fear. The one thing that if you take any kind of defense classes whatsoever, the first thing they start teaching you to do is to learn how to control your fear. You're going to experience it. You're going to have the emotion. But what you need to do is you need to learn how to get a hold of that and not let it make the decisions, because unfortunately, when you're afraid, what you do is you go to Walmart and you buy 16 24 packs of toilet paper like you could use that in a year. Excuse me, I'm a little gassy. So on top of, taking, and something else I thought was odd that a lot of people that didn't really get touched very much was like tuna. I'm like, do we not eat that? I mean, I eat, now usually I don't eat it, canned variety. But even in the frozen variety, it lasted a long time. It was one of the last things to go. I guess we don't eat that here. So, welcome. Considering where I'm at, I'm sorry I just answered my own question. I'm like, no wonder, First thing that was gone was meat and potatoes. I'm not even making that up. In the food side, anything that made a roast or anything like that, gone, But nobody picked up egg noodles, which is like one of my favorites. What's wrong with you people? Those are delicious. They gain flavor and everything. They swell up nice and fat and they're good and soft. Sorry, I'm hungry. So, in closing, I just wanted to come on here. Maybe, maybe I'll make you smile a little bit. Take your mind off of the craziness that's going on to some degree, in that, we are all in this together and we are all going to have to help each other, because I want to be, kind of blunt. As the reason why I wanted to do this was just from a different standpoint. One thing I'm not hearing anybody talk about is the from a manufacturing standpoint, what we're actually looking at. And when people go back to work, we're not going to have product on the shelf the next day. We'll be lucky to have it in a couple weeks. The problem is because we only have a few facilities that make the majority of the products that we have. And when you go to distributing to 50 states, supply is going to be slim for a long time. And I honestly think that it's going to be a situation where probably by the time that it's over, we'll be used to it. And I encourage people, and one of the reasons why I did this video, I'm trying not to get myself fired. So I want to say something that I heard someone else say. Yeah, I heard someone else say. Was that at one of the grocery stores in one of the towns in Ohio had placed an order that involved 5,000 pieces, but the order showed up with 1,600. So I'm not trying to tell you to freak out, but I do want to encourage you to stay diligent, because if the factories are shut down, the warehouses will empty pretty quickly, because there's not a lot of backstock for a lot of this stuff. That's, like I said, that's not how businesses run anymore. And in the name of efficiency, that's why it runs that way. So there's no, like I said, in time of emergency, it's very difficult. Hanes, switched their manufacturing over quickly to the mask, because if you saw how a T-shirt was made, you'd understand why it's not a far cry from switching materials over, and then because most of the machinery has got interchangeable pieces, so you can make multiple products on it. Obviously, tool and die work. You switch out a couple pieces, now it makes something totally new. So, and it's been pretty impressive to see a lot of these companies they're like, hey, we're doing it. Let's do it now. It really reminds me of a wartime effort, which I think has been used, kind of been an analogy that's been tossed around, because it kind of is like that, except it's an invisible enemy. And it's really, I think, and all the bad that's coming from this, I think, this really might be a chance for more people to maybe consider, maybe is it time to maybe go back a little bit, not quite be, I don't want to we're awful reliant on modern conveniences that when you see something like this happen, you see how quickly all that stuff gets brushed away. And for a lot of people, it's going to be a big change, but maybe, I don't know, maybe lessons to be learned. Hopefully. I screw up a lot. So, my hope in every time that I do something completely idiotic is that at least I won't repeat it. So hopefully during this time, we can continue on what, honestly, like I said, I've really been, it's just been very, it makes me feel warm and fuzzy. It's like it's Christmas time all over again kind of thing. When I've seen that really for the biggest part, most people have been really excessively nice. They have been very considerate and no, excuse me, and here, have you seen this? And this is over here, and have you gone there? And I mean, seeing them work together, it really does make you wonder if we could do this beyond these kind of events. I mean, man, well, what kind of stuff could we do? So, I don't know. Just thinking. So, all right. Thanks for listening to me ramble. Hopefully soon I'll be coming back with something a little bit more consistent. Like I said, we think we may have Dad back to most of his rambunctious self. So, I don't know. I think he was a lot rambunctious. So, anyhow, all right. Thanks for stopping by. I'll talk to you later. Bye.